speaking against from St. Xavier's is the youngest speaker of the debate today, Shaurya Dasgupta.
Taking over from Aditya Vikram is a very difficult task. I'll try to accomplish it to the best of my ability. Good evening, everybody. Now, today, we are debating a motion which I find very out of touch with modern-day realities in the 21st century. Social networking is a failure of communication. I find it exceedingly strange that any proposition can bring itself to speak in favor of this motion after they've seen the number of gray-haired men flashing smartphones here, clicking pictures which are presumably going to go on Facebook. And I think that disproves the statement of a very famous statesman, a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the Earl of Beaconsfield, Benjamin Disraeli. He said that predominant opinions are generally the opinions of the generation that is vanishing. I am happy to see that both my compatriots seated there and running around backstage and ALSOC members have come together in this grand enterprise to espouse modern-day social networking and to thus defeat this motion. Now, many people have defined communication. My colleague from Presidency University went by a dictionary definition. Now, I'm not going to go by a dictionary definition because I couldn't make up my mind whether to go with the Oxford English Dictionary or the Cambridge English Dictionary. Communication is basically the sharing of thoughts, feelings, emotions, or ideas at an intrapersonal or an interpersonal level. Having said that, it has also been established that what all of these, be they letters, social networking websites, or even telephones, are communication media. So when the proposition is so vehemently speaking out against communication media, it is doing something which no sensible person should do. It is shooting the messenger. And that is not something which I am ready to swallow. Now, this debate has not focused much on social networking outside the internet. I agree that social networking on the internet accounts for around 99% of the topic, and most members have chosen to focus on this 99%, establishing their credentials as bona fide members of the Occupy Wall Street movement. But there's a very important 1% left, and I'd like to exemplify that 1% for your benefit. Look at me. I'm standing here debating on this stage. I don't know half of you seated here in the house today, but I'm debating on a topic about which I happen to feel very passionately. I'm engaging in active social networking. And there is a judging panel seated here who are going to score me on the skills which I display in this regard. I'm not very sure that the proposition will be very happy about this, but that's the fact of the matter, and they've got to accept it. Now, many people have spoken about the Arab Spring before me, as they should have, because the Arab Spring represents an epoch in world history. I'm not going to again go into the details of which countries were involved and which dictators lost office, but I'm going to share with you this very catchy headline that I saw in National Daily. Autocracy is doomed in the age of the Facebook. It's a headline which has stuck. And it's a headline which again points to something which my friend Aditya Vikram tried to very expertly dodge when he was speaking there. Governments in China and North Korea. He was speaking on governments in China and North Korea, and he spoke about how the government may monitor what you're doing on social networking websites. But what he's basically doing is that he's being a fearmongerer. The thing is that governments may monitor these, but the fact of the matter is that since governments are not allowing you, it proves the power of communication on social networking websites. The government is afraid of what might happen if social networking websites are open to the public in China and North Korea, because the totalitarian regimes know that they won't be able to stay in power. Now, I'll give you a very personal example. I come from an ultra-conservative Hindu background, and I was taught from a very young age that certain foodstuffs, certain items of clothing, and people who espouse these foodstuffs and items of clothing are to be considered non grata. And you know, I would have grown up with this impression and I would have passed this on to my children eventually. But I won't. Why won't I? A lot of credit for that rests with this entire system of social networking. It has helped knit the communities of the world together. Today, I'm debating with the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, who are going to fly back to their universities after this debate is over, after a couple of days. But I want to stay in touch with them, because they are my seniors and I've learned a lot from hearing them. How can I do that? Social networking websites are the answer. Now, on a slightly lighter note, I'd also like to just refute some of the speakers here. The speaker from Presidency College spoke about 63% marriages dissolving. Disraeli, that great man once again, also said that there are 3 kinds of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. I urge the House not to believe that. Now, the speaker from Loreto House spoke about uploading a status on Pandit Ravi Shankar and how 63 people liked it. Well, since Facebook hasn't developed an I sympathize and an I understand button yet, it would have been better had she not uploaded it. Another point that she made deserves mention. She spoke about, how we should farm instead of playing Farm Bill. I'd like to ask her if that same logic would apply to a game like Call of Duty. The speaker from Oxford spoke about how we put the most flattering pictures of ourselves on the internet. Well, I think cosmetics were invented thousands of years ago. They serve much the same purpose. I'd like to end by quoting P.G. Wodehouse, my favorite author. I think he had this present proposition in mind when he said that they resembled men who had spent the better part of their lives looking for the leak in life's gas pipe with a lighted candle. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I rest my case.
Thank you, Shorjo. Do we have some questions for him? Is that a hand I see before me that creeps slowly to it? Yes.
Well, we are humans, of course, so lying is part of human nature. So when Disraeli said that there are 3 kinds of lies, damned lies, and statistics, I believe he was talking about the human condition.
Yeah, he was talking about human nature, another very important aspect of which is that you jump to your defense if some point has been made criticizing you.
Any other question from the audience? I can't see. Yes, there is a hand somewhere. Would you like to come up to the microphone, please?
Good evening. The topic for today is social networking is a failure of communication. Now, social networking would mean the society is networking with people and talking to other people. Like,
I know.
I'll be talking to people tomorrow for my Aram Society's reunion.
I know.
So that is social networking and like failure of communication. How can people talking to people and asking and knowing something, how can that be a hindrance to a communication? I mean, communication cannot be hindrance by that. I mean, there has to be a receiver, a media, and a sender. Finish.
I know.
And if the sender if the sender understands, it's over, right? So, like, why is there like social networking only is only being taken as computer, this mobile phones. It does not make sense. I mean, social networking is this society talking, so why is it?
It is.
Okay,
It is.
his question is,
No,
why
I
should
understood
social
it, sir.
networking simply be hardware?
It is this such a question like this is a very rare occurrence in the life of a debater. When the question reinforces his points with perhaps with not as much clarity, but with as much force. In fact, sir, since you have given me the opportunity, I'd like to point this out that yes, social networking does help us in many ways. Tomorrow you'll be networking with the old boys. That's a very good thing, and I think the third paragraph of my speech referred to it. That's also there, and on the internet, the internet is actually a vehicle for optimism, especially Facebook, because Facebook is the only place in the world where you can talk to a wall and not feel like an idiot. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shorjo. Unfortunately, from a strictly neurosurgical point of view, I can point out that most people who in a single room talk to the wall do not think they're idiots. That's why they need to see brain doctors.